My boyfriend has lost $21,000 to crypto casinos in the last 18 months, even after I caught him, and he promised to never do it again, and I don't know if I can gamble this much on my future, but I love him. I don't really know where to go from here and could use some advice. We've been together over 3 years, and we've lived together for 2. It wasn't my money, thank God, and we don't share any bank accounts, but over 18 months that's what he's blown in crypto casinos. I only found out because I wanted to make a budget for us and asked if I could get his bank login to see his monthly statement, and after some hesitation he said, "If I give you that, you're just going to leave me." And came clean. He said he has been gambling for months and spent thousands. I don't think he even knew the extent of what he spent, but he gave me his login and I did all the math. Over 21K over 18 months, and that's only as far back as the bank would let me see. It could be even more than that. Some days he spent hundreds. One day he spent almost $3,000. I am stunned. I caught him once before in February, and he had spent $700. I told him if I found out he gambled again it would be a deal breaker, and he swore he wouldn't do it again. Well, not only had he already been doing it for months, he continued to gamble the very next day. That could have also been his chance to come clean and tell me about his problem, but he was too afraid of the consequences. In the meantime, he always complains about being broke, and we never do anything, no dates, no trips, and I don't need lavish gifts, but surprises now and again would be nice, and he would always say that he would spoil me if he could, but he just doesn't have the money. We also adopted a puppy in July, and although he paid for half of her cost, I've paid for everything ever since. All her vet bills, food/treats, training classes, crate, etc. He owes me about $600, and he could have paid me back or pitched in this whole time, but sat back and said nothing as I paid. The same goes for our apartment. Nearly everything in it I have paid for, and the excuse was always I don't have the money for it. I just always took him at his word, even though he makes twice as much as me. He always paid bills on time and his share of the rent, but still had no problem with the above. He says he is going to go to counseling, has an appointment booked, and is going to a GA meeting on Monday. I told him I was going to my parents for a few days to get some space, and he begged me to stay, promising that things will be different and that he will change. I feel I do love him, but I feel so betrayed, and I don't know how I can ever trust him again. We could have done so much with that money. He could have done so much with that money just for itself. It's so disappointing. If I move out, I can't afford to live on my own and will have to move back in with my parents. If I stay, I'm scared what the future will look like. Any advice would be greatly appreciated, especially from anyone who has experiences this or something similar. Update. I gave it a lot of thought, and I decided to end things with him. We'll be giving our landlord 60 days notice, and for now I've moved back in with my parents. It was a really hard decision and I feel horrible. I love him and miss him, but I couldn't trust him anymore and, ironically, couldn't take a gamble on my future. I hope I made the best decision. For him and for me. I want to thank everyone that reached out and gave me advice. It really helped and made me feel less alone in this. That's all for now. It's time to focus on myself for a little while.